In the heart of Ravenwood Forest, there stood an old, dilapidated cabin, hidden away from the prying eyes of civilization. It was a place whispered about in hushed tones, a place where the trees seemed to lean in closer, as if trying to shield the world from the darkness that lurked within. The cabin had once belonged to the reclusive Granger family, but now it stood empty, its windows boarded up and its doors chained shut. Few dared to venture near it, for fear of awakening the ancient evil that dwelled within its walls. But one summer night, a group of curious teenagers, drawn by the allure of adventure and the promise of a thrill, decided to explore the abandoned cabin. Armed with nothing but flashlights and nervous laughter, they made their way through the dense underbrush, their hearts pounding in anticipation. As they approached the cabin, a chill swept through the air, sending shivers down their spines. The moon cast eerie shadows on the forest floor, and the sound of rustling leaves seemed to echo in the darkness. With trembling hands, they pushed open the creaking door and stepped inside, their flashlights cutting through the gloom like knives. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay, and cobwebs clung to the corners like tattered curtains. They made their way through the cabin, their footsteps echoing off the walls like the tolling of a funeral bell. Each room held its own secrets, its own horrors waiting to be uncovered. But as they ventured deeper into the cabin, they began to sense that they were not alone. Shadows danced on the walls, shifting and twisting in the flickering light of their flashlights. Whispers echoed through the empty rooms, faint and indistinct, like the murmurs of ghosts long forgotten. Suddenly, one of the teenagers let out a blood-curdling scream, and the others turned to see what had caused it. Their flashlights illuminated a figure standing in the doorway, its features obscured by darkness. As they watched in horror, the figure began to move, its movements jerky and unnatural. It seemed to glide across the floor, hovering just above the ground like a specter from another world. With a collective gasp, the teenagers turned and fled, their hearts pounding in their chests. But no matter how fast they ran, they could not escape the darkness that pursued them, its tendrils reaching out to ensnare them in its grasp. They stumbled through the forest, their breath coming in ragged gasps, until at last they emerged into the clearing where their car was parked. With trembling hands, they fumbled for the keys, desperate to escape the nightmare that had unfolded in Ravenwood Forest. But as they drove away, leaving the cabin and its secrets behind them, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. And as they glanced back at the cabin one last time, they saw a figure standing in the window, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The legend of Ravenwood Forest lived on, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones around campfires and hearths alike. For those who dared to seek out the abandoned cabin, they would soon discover that some mysteries are best left undisturbed, and that the shadows of the past are never truly gone.